You? You've got a good ghost story? Well, good is subjective, but I don't doubt it'll be interesting at the very least. Well then, you've got my attention. I give it 5 minutes before we've been bored into wanting my story again. Shush! I want to hear this. Take it away, Toby. Well, this story takes place many years ago on a railway far, far away from ours. There was a large diesel engine who worked on a small branch that served a harbour and a scrapyard. No one can remember the diesel's actual name. However, at some point people began calling him Diesel 10. He was, by all accounts, a kind soul who worked hard and was friendly to all his comrades, even the steam engines. He mainly worked at the scrapyard, pulling trucks to and fro as needed. Though his performance was by no means lacking, the manager of the scrapyard had an idea for a modification that would make Diesel 10 even more efficient. A modification that was both legally and morally questionable. One morning, the men showed up for work as usual, and were surprised to find that Diesel 10 had been outfitted with a large mechanical claw. It was the manager's own design, an experimental one, made for loading and unloading scrap, as well as clearing obstacles from the line as needed. The claw was certainly met with some controversy. Many people argued whether such a modification could or should be made. But what they'd failed to realise, however, was how the claw was affecting its engine. It's said that the claw changed Diesel 10. What do I mean by that, you may ask? Well, the kind, gentle giant diesel everyone had come to love over the years began to fade away, and in its place, a new persona dawned, though this one not nearly as comforting. He became reclusive, angry, and spiteful. He'd frequently lash out at the workmen, and the steam engines. Oh my, he could make even the toughest steam engines boiler run cold on the hottest of days. He'd hurl insults and threats at them, telling them how obsolete they were, and how diesels were destined to take over. He'd make the sick offer to be the one who personally tore the engines apart when their day to be scrapped came. He became an all-around menace. People concluded that the claw must be what was corrupting him, and they began pressuring the scrapyard's manager to remove it once and for all. But he stood by his decision, claiming the claw worked like a charm and made the work quicker. Over time, however, he would come to regret his decision. Late one night, a little engine had to make a late-night delivery to the scrapyard. They were nervous. A trip to the scrapyard meant they'd surely encounter Diesel 10, right? Well, upon entering the yard, it seemed to the little engine that that wouldn't be the case, for the menacing diesel was nowhere to be seen. It was a misty night, though, which limited how far the little engine could see. They shunted their trucks into a siding and were just about to leave, when they suddenly heard a low rumble. They looked over and saw a massive claw coming straight for them. The next morning, the men arrived for work once again, and were horrified by what they saw. There was Diesel 10, looking as evil as ever, staring coldly down at the remains of the little engine. He'd torn them down to pieces, and now all that remained were jagged shards of metal. Everyone was shocked and outraged. They all blamed the manager. "You could have prevented it," they'd say. Realizing he had no other choice, the manager scrapped Diesel 10 in disgrace. It wouldn't be enough to save his scrapyard, though, for with all the negative publicity surrounding it, nobody wanted to do business there. The scrapyard was shut down not long after, and now with one of its two served industries closed, the branch followed closely behind. Diesel 10 was quickly forgotten about, and nowadays most consider him a legend over someone who really existed. However, some say that on a dark, misty night, Diesel 10 is still out roaming the rails, flying down the main line through the fog with his claw flailing like mad, creeping through the sidings, waiting at the back of the shed. He haunts the railways, looking for a steam engine who's a suitable next victim. And if you aren't careful, maybe it will be you.